So what we have in front of us is a variety of resources that I've taken from my library. There's a couple of things in here from the bookstore, only because I knew they were in here and I have them at home as well. And I figured I'll just take them from here rather than having to carry them. But what we're going to do is we are going to start with just talking about Bibles and the different kinds of Bibles. And let's see if I am working at all yet.
Uh-oh, something's working.
Well, it doesn't. We'll see what happens. If everything goes black, then we're in trouble.
Cyber attack.
No, that's not doing anything. It's not going black, but it's not doing anything. So, obviously we've got different translations. We talked about different translations and some of the uses and purposes of the different translations. And we have different types of study Bibles. We've talked about study Bibles. And there's general study Bibles, okay? What I call the sort of topical study Bibles. One would be Knaves Topical Bible, which I think should be here somewhere. Does anybody have Knaves Topical Bible? Somewhere around here? It should be a soft cover.
Here.
Yep. And so that's over there. And if you open it up, it doesn't look like a Bible at all. It looks like a Bible on the outside, but on the inside, it doesn't look like a Bible. It's just a bunch of topics. And then it has, there's just filled with a bunch of different topics, and then it has Bible verses relating to that, to that particular topic. My Bible of choice that I use every day, that I use when I preach, that I use when I teach. This is, and you can see it's pretty worn out. It's called a Thompson Chain Bible. Okay? And how this works, boy, if I can get this, I'm going to try this again, because I've got some images here that show you how a Thompson chain works. Try this again, see if I can get it to act right. All right, now it's not detecting anything. All right, anyway, the way a Thompson chain works is, and I'll put this out after class so you can take a look at it. It's a full Bible, front to back. But it has these columns on the side here. I'm going to cover my microphone. It has these columns on the side, okay? And on those columns are topics that have to do with that particular verse. So I just happen to open up in Romans chapter 4, verse 5, but to him who does not work but believes on him who justifies the ungodly, his faith is accounted for righteousness. So now over here, I have the word justification, okay? And there's a number that goes along with it. Well, that number that's next to it corresponds to an index back here. And if I were to look up that number, it would have all these different verses that relate to justification. And so this has a great topical search. And if you're not starting with a verse, you're just starting with a topic, well, it has a topical index in the back, so you could look up. Let's say you just said, well, I want to look up justification. You didn't start with a verse, you just started with a topic. You look up justification over here, and it'll give you that number, and then you go back to this, and it'll give you all those verses. Plus this has a ton of other things. It's got archaeological stuff, it's got charts, it's got encyclopedia stuff. It has outlines and things like that. This is sort of the, what I call the little black dress of your library. Just it's useful for everything. It has a lot of different uses. So it's called the Thompson Chain. It's available in King James, New King James, and NIV, I think. You can get it hardcover, you can get it soft cover. And one thing that I will mention, and I'm just going to grab this guy right here. There's two of these out. I'm not sure where I put the other one. I've got a new one and an old one. This is Christian Book Distributors, which if you go to, at the top here, it says christianbook.com. You can go online. A great resource for Christian resources, Christian books, study materials, almost anything you can imagine. And you can go online, you can get that at christianbook.com. It's called Christian Book Distributors, CBD, from my home state of Massachusetts. And you can get any of these things that we're going to talk about tonight. An open Bible. I think somebody's got my open Bible here. Where did I put that thing? Is that it right there? I think that's it. Yeah, it's pretty worn out. This is another Bible I use a lot. Yeah, this is my open Bible. And this one's pretty cool. Bruce Wilkinson, we got David Wilkinson, and it's David Wilkerson. Bruce Wilkinson, right? Bruce Wilkinson put out a thing called Talk Through the Bible. And it's like this interesting outline with information about all the different books in the Bible. And what the Open Bible does is it takes that, we'll just see if we can find the first page of any, okay? The first couple of pages of any book starts out with all this information about the book, the author, the time of it, the Christ of it. Every book has some relevance and reference to Christ within it. Keys, keywords, a survey. It does a quick little box outline. And this is like when we were going over outlining our verses. And so this can be helpful when you look at things like this, where it gives you sort of like the outline, the topics of each particular section of it. And then it goes in and it's your Bible, So that's a good one.
What do they call that?
This is called the Open Bible. Okay, those are sort of general purpose Bibles. Then you have commentary Bibles. And I think, the Ryrie Study Bible still sort of falls under commentary. It has some other use too, but it's a commentary Bible. And by commentary, we have the Life Application Bible, the Word for Today Bible, the Chuck Smith Bible. David Jeremiah has a commentary Bible. Charles Stanley, right? And what that is, and you can look at any of those, basically you'll have some scripture, and then on the bottom, the lower portion, there'll be that particular author, scholar's comments about those passages. Okay? So that's a commentary Bible. And that's why there's different types. There's sort of general study, there's commentary, and then there is what I call original language Bibles. And I'm not going to give up on this thing. I'm going to keep trying this thing until I'm old and gray. See if I get lucky. So an original language Bible, I think it's over there. There is the Word Study Bible. I mean, what's it called? It's by Zodiates. It's by Now I'm losing it. The Keyword Study Bible, it's called. Anybody have that? It's a big, thick, monstrous looking thing. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. And this one, let me grab this one. I can talk about it for a minute. Oh, you got the fun ones over here.
Yeah, I know. I like this.
You like this one? This one's a lot of fun. I'll bring this one too to talk about it. Okay, this is an expanded version of this guy. This goes back a few years too. I got this when it first came out. Spiros Zodiates, who was a Greek scholar, came out with a Bible. It's called the Hebrew-Greek Key Study Bible. I think we have some in the bookstore. It's just called the Key Study Bible now. And what it is, what this is you go through it. If you get a chance, take a look at it. Certain words are underlined, okay? And that's why it's called keyword. There are certain keywords that are underlined. And next to it is a number. Well, that number is a Strong's number. Strong's Concordance is their numbering system is the standard numbering system for Greek and Hebrew. So these numbers correspond to those things, and you can go in the back and look that up. In the very back, it looks exactly like the back of a Strong's Concordance. Okay, but before you get to that section, there is a little bit of a more expanded definition. The Strong's Concordance gives great definitions, but they're like 1 or 2 words, maybe 3 words, and that's it. Spiros Zodiates sort of adds his own flavor of his knowledge of Greek and Hebrew, and puts that in here. Now, they took this Bible and they expanded it. This is just the New Testament.
Wow.
Okay, there's another one just as thick that's the Old Testament. Okay, and it works basically the same way, only it's just about every word. It's not just certain key words. It's just about every single word in here has a number above it, and some Greek information, like it'll tell you if it's a perfect passive, indicative, or, et cetera, et cetera. And then this has on the sides what's called an interlinear, which is what this guy is, the fun guy that Martha was talking about, because this one is basically all Greek. In the Greek alphabet, okay? So, well, this is Hebrew, is the Greek. But it has the English as well. So interlinear usually means that is a lexicon. This is a Bible. This is actually a Bible. This is the actual Bible, but it's in the original language. And it has all the numbers, the Strong's numbers associated with it. And it also has the English. So you can sort of follow along and you can see what the actual original language was. Now, it's a lot. and if you don't read Greek, if you don't know Greek letters, it's relatively useless. But it's interesting to see it laid out in its original format. And again, it's you take it as far as you want to take it. You can go all the way and you can get, dig this kind of stuff up, or you can, just go at it lightly and just get a Bible like that. Like the Key Study Bible, which like I said, I think she has some in there, which is just a Bible, and it's just got a few notations and marks in it that'll help you to understand some original language.
Can you read the Greek? Can you read the Greek or the Hebrew?
The Hebrew I can't. Greek, I know the alphabet. I don't. My vocabulary is limited. I can sound out the word because I know the letters. So it is helpful for me because when I do look at an interlinear or something, I can recognize the certain words. So if I'm looking and I know the word for sin is hamartia, I can spot hamartia out in a mess of Greek alphabet soup. So it comes in handy if you want to go that far. I mean, for my purposes, that's what I wanted to do. So I can't. When I was taking Greek, one of the most troubling things was he would just give us a sheet with nothing on it but Greek, and we had to translate it. And it wasn't like it was a verse in the Bible, a passage in the Bible, but it wasn't John 3:16. It wasn't some recognizable verse. It was some obscure verse somewhere that, you're like, oh, I sort of know that verse, but I don't know the exact, and you had to get the exact words. And I was never good at that. But I can recognize some things. And, if you learn the alphabet, you can sort of recognize certain things.
Well, did the Greek evolve? Is that the ancient Greek? I mean, is that what?
It's called the Koine Greek that we talked about. Koine meaning common. So it was different than like Homer, the Odyssey and the Iliad, which was written in classic Greek, which is sort of a high Greek. The Koine Greek was sort of a low Greek. It was a more common man street language.
It's still used?
The Greek today is very similar, but not identical. And so some of it has, it's like love in the Koine Greek is agape, and in modern Greek, I think it's something like sagapo. So there's some similarities to it, but it's evolved over the last 2,000 years. So there's some differences.
What do they tend to use in these books?
The Koine Greek, the biblical Greek. Yeah. So sticking with the original languages, you also have something called word studies. Okay, and that is, you may have something on your table that says Vincent's or Weast. Weast is spelled W-U-E-S-T. Vincent's, Weast, and Robertson's. I think I put Robertson's. That's Weast.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I think in front of Jim there is Robertson's, that brown guy right there. No, the brown and brown. Yeah, that one there. Those are they take you through books in the Bible. They don't always cover all. I know Weast doesn't cover every New Testament book. I don't think Robertson's does. They cover certain books in the Bible, and they take you through that book. And as they take you through that book, they've sort of selected some words. They don't select every word, and then they'll talk about it. They won't just give the definition. They'll talk a little bit about it, and they'll talk about the grammar, the syntax, the case, and give some explanation to it, so you can get a better understanding of it. Okay, so word studies are really good. We have Weast, Robertson, Vincent. There's a theological dictionary. That green guy over there, that's actually, if you look at that, that's almost more like an encyclopedia. Remember I was telling you how dictionaries, Bible dictionaries, and there's another one called, I think it's called the New Bible Dictionary. It's a big blue, thick guy. Is that what it is? Yeah. That one, if you open it up, it's called a dictionary, but if you look at it, it's more like an encyclopedia. It talks about things in the Bible, and then it'll give sort of a definition of it, but it's not a Greek word definition. It's just, it'll say the pool of Siloam, and then it'll talk about that and that kind of stuff. And then we talked about the complete word study, which was the big thick guy, the 2-volume set. Lexicons. Those are dictionaries. Yeah, that one's a lot of fun too. That one's even more fun than the Interlinear. How's that one look to you? Yeah. This one doesn't even give you the English. This one, you have to know the Greek word in the Greek letters in order to find it.
Oh, I see some English, but all that is.
But if you, I mean, the definitions are in English.
Stuff here.
Yeah, the definitions are in English, but you have to know the word in the original language. So that one's a real tricky one. But then there are things, I think the vines, is that vines right over there? That one's a little friendlier, a lot friendlier. It doesn't have every word, but there is something called the complete vines. This is not the complete. This is, and this one works more in the English. Okay, so you'll see the word elect, elected, election, and then it will give you every word in the Greek where that word election is used. Like you can look up love, look up under L, love, and come on. Doo-doo-doo. Boy, there's a lot in here. Okay. So love. And then it'll have agapeo, phileo, and then it'll have it as nouns, different ones, philanthropia, and then again, love feasts. So it'll have, you look up the English, and then it'll give you all the Greek words that are used in the Bible to describe that that English word, or how it's translated into English.
Tyndale.
That's the Tyndale, the dictionary. Yeah, that's the Bible dictionary. Yeah. Okay. Concordances, pretty straightforward, and unfortunately, concordances are kind of going the way of the dodo. Well, because of technology. It's easier. I can pull my little YouVersion Bible up on my phone and look up a verse. If I'm looking up a verse and I know it has the word everlasting in it, I can just type in everlasting, and it'll give me every verse that says everlasting. Who's got the Strongs?
Right here.
Yeah, Strongs is a big guy. Strongs is, here, just get and hold that, somebody hold that guy up, maybe Tracy.
Yeah.
And that's
That's a concordance?
That's a concordance, and that's a small one. You should see the one I have at home. It's bigger than that. The Strong's Concordance it's called the Strong's Exhaustive Concordance because it has every single word that's in the Bible, and uses the King James as its reference. Every single word that is in the King James Bible is in that book. Even every a, every it, every the. Okay? That stuff, some of the small words he put in the back and just has them listed. But the Strong's Concordance, you would just get it so I can sort of describe how it, as I'm looking at it. Thank you. So like I said, if you were looking at, the word everlasting, and it's set up sort of like a dictionary. So you can see, this goes from father to father, this goes from evil, Ebrona to Egypt, right? So if I wanted to look up everlasting, it's not that hard to find. Keep going. Equal, Esther, ever. Ever, everlasting. There we go. Okay. And see where it starts. There it is. Oh, and the big one that I have is even smaller writing than this. So you find the word everlasting, and it's going to have every verse where the word everlasting appears. And in the order, and from Genesis to Revelation, in that order. And then it will have the Strong's number next to it. Okay, and you can take that Strong's number and you go to the back. And you look up that number in the back and it'll give you a definition of that word. And I can see here that there actually looks like there are several Mostly it seems to be this one word, 5769, and then there's another one, 6924, and then there's 166 is another one. So you can find out that there's 3 different words that are translated everlasting. And you can find out what those 3 words are by looking up their respective numbers in the back. It'll give you the Greek definition or Hebrew definition, depending on which verse it's in, of what that word means. Okay? And
How would you use that? I mean, if you, everlasting, you find it, why are you looking?
well, let's just say I wanted to find every verse in the Bible that had the word everlasting in it. Or if there's a particular verse. So what I usually use it for is if I know a particular verse and I don't know where it is, but I know a couple of the words that are in it, I can use a concordance. Most of us are in our Bibles, we have a concordance in the back, but they're not exhaustive. So they won't have every verse and they won't have every word. Well, that has every word in every verse. So it's exhaustive. So you can use that to find a particular verse that maybe you're looking for. That says, well, it sort of says this, but I don't know exactly how it goes, but I know it uses the word everlasting in it. So that narrows it down so you can, hopefully find that verse. Or if you're just it's another way of doing a topical search. You look up the word faithfulness, and you can do a topical search on faithfulness and find every passage that talks about that. Tracy?
Rick, do you think it's helpful, like if you have a certain Bible, like the Life Application Bible, to have the Life Application Commentary that goes with it? Should life go with life, or do you think it's good to change?
I think it's good to change things up, mainly because commentaries are kind of my least favorite thing. I like them, I use them all the time, but they are the last thing that I go to. I want to know what it said and what does it mean before I look and have somebody else tell me what it means, or what it means to me. Very useful, but and that's why other than the Life Application Bible that's there that somebody gave me, I don't have all the Bibles that I have. My wife gave me a David Jeremiah Bible too, and that one's good. I don't really use the commentary Bibles that much, but I would say definitely mix it up. You want to have different viewpoints, and you can weigh one against the other and say, yeah, something about what this guy says is like, and we'll move on, since you mentioned it, we'll move on to commentaries. Certain Matthew Henrys, there's a couple of Matthew Henrys out there somewhere. It's a 6-7 volume set, and it's great. But Matthew Henry was in the way back days. And Matthew Henry, some of his stuff is a little bit of replacement theology, and a little reform theology in there. So, I don't agree with everything that he says. And there's some old timer take on some verses that have since, we've gotten a greater understanding of it. This was,
He's definitely not a dispensation.
yeah. And so, some of the older guys you just have to be careful of. Yep.
Can you define replacement theology?
Replacement theology is this, that it was a theology that was invented by scholars who were wrestling with the fact that there was no Israel. We take for granted that there is an Israel today, but I would venture to say there's at least a couple in this room that probably remember when Israel became a nation again, okay? But as we all know, that was not the case for nearly 2,000 years. There was no Israel, and the Bible had all these promises that had not been fulfilled, and all these prophecies that had not been fulfilled that were specifically about Israel. So their take on it was, he must be talking about the church. So the church replaces Israel in these prophecies and in these promises. So when we read the book of Revelation, it's not talking about Israel, it's talking about the church. And that's why the idea of a pre-tribulation rapture was sort of, John Darby did not invent the pre-tribulation rapture. The early church fathers believed that Jesus would return for his church before the tribulation. But when replacement theology came out, they kind of went la 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 la. They didn't want to hear it about pre-tribulation rapture, because then Revelation doesn't make any sense, because it's all about Israel, and in their mind, it's all about the church. So, that's replacement theology, is that the church has replaced Israel in Bible prophecy and promises. And so there are some older commentaries that you just sort of, you take with a grain of salt. What's that?
Vernon McGee.
Now, Jay's all right.
He's really easy to understand. I have
Yeah.
it's 6 volumes and then a volume of index.
He's a little bit of a, I don't know if he's a strict King James only guy, but he definitely, I remember listening to him. I remember listening to him with that distinctive voice of his. And you may like some of these new Bibles, but I like the King James. It's like, all right, Jay. But he, I used to listen through the Bible all the time. And he was
Good points about, people changing over time. I just looked up one of them, Strong's. And it was written in 1890, it says.
Yeah.
Do they update those things so that it's...
To some degree. I mean, the thing about Strong's is his is just information. There's no commentary.
Okay.
It's just Greek definitions. That's why commentaries are iffy. The original language stuff and just finding verses, that's just information. The commentary is where it gets into interpretation, opinion, things like that. So that's why you want to be really cautious with commentaries. A really good commentary is the one Jerry's got there. There's actually 2 volumes now. The Bible Knowledge Commentary. There's an Old New Testament was the first one that came out, and now they have the Old Testament. That was written by Walvoord and Zook. Zook is Roy Zook, the one that wrote the book that we're studying, and that's a very recent. I think they're both still alive. I think Walvoord and Zook may both know. Who won, Zook or Walvoord? Zook died. Okay, but Walvoord might still be alive too. No, Walvoord's gone. Okay, well, because somebody came up to me and was talking about how they camped out in front of Walvoord's house, trying to meet him one day, and they ended up getting into trouble because they were trespassing on his property. But they're very recent. Barnes Notes is probably one of the most comprehensive. Barnes Notes is like, I think 15 volumes. It's a giant, like an encyclopedia, giant commentary. The Wycliffe Bible Commentary I have here, that's a 1-volume set. Jameson, Fawcett, and Brown. Kyle and DeLeach is an Old Testament one. Enduring Word, that's a very contemporary one. That's by David Gusick. And he's still working on it. And you can find that best either in eSword or in Blue Letter Bible. And what he does, which is kind of helpful actually, is he makes references to a lot of other commentators. He'll reference Barnes, he'll reference Henry Clark, Gill, different ones. He'll make reference to them, sort of picking out some of the best stuff that they've said, and then adding his own thing. David Gusick is what is he out of? He's Calvary Chapel. I know the name of the town. It's out there in California.
You showed me how to use the Blue Letter Bible. Tap on it. And the commentaries, it's got David Gusick.
Yeah.
But it's also got Matthew Henry. So
Yep.
I guess for all of us is to check out the
Yeah.
people that understand.
Yeah. That's and the same thing with eSword. It has Matthew Henry. It has a concise Matthew Henry. It has the expanded Matthew Henry. It has Barnes Notes. It has Clark. It has Gill. It has Darby. It has a bunch, Schofield. It's got a John Wesley. All these different commentaries that are very helpful. But again, that's why more is better in the sense of not sticking with one thing, because you want to get, if you're going to go to commentaries, just do a little bit, and a commentary is not something you're going to sit down, open up, and relax and read through. It's just not. It's not that kind of reading. It's something that you're going to look up a specific passage. You're just going to study that one passage in that commentary. All right, theology. This one is sort of less about Bible study and more about understanding the theology that the Bible teaches. Okay, one of the sort of the consummate works is Lewis Sperry Schaefer's Systematic Theology. Should be a couple of blue guys. I think it's right behind you. Is that it right there? Is that
Yeah.
Systematic Theology by Lewis Sperry Schaefer? That one is, I think it's an 8 or 9 volume set. When I got it, they combined some of the volumes, so mine I think is only like 5 volumes, but it's like a total of an 8 volume set. And what that does is that goes through, and here, let me go grab it so I can sort of. This is volumes 3 and 4 together. So, and it's pretty comprehensive, So it has a topic, ecclesiology. So that's the doctrine of the church, the theology of the church. And he will go on for chapters and chapters and chapters. 7 figures used of the church in her relation to Christ. It is very, very comprehensive. Soteriology, the doctrine of salvation. And this is one of his largest sections on all the different, and it's scriptural. I mean, he's using scripture to talk about what the Bible teaches about our salvation. Lewis Sperry Schaefer, yeah. Lewis Sperry Schaefer was the original founder of the Dallas Theological Seminary. They kind of went a different way, and they ended up starting Schaefer. What's it called? Schaefer Seminary, Schaefer Theological Seminary. Yep.
Do you happen to know a guy by the name of Dr. William Lane Craig?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he's a site called Reasonable Faith. Do you think
That's a great book. Thick as mud. I mean, he is and I don't agree with everything. He's an old earther. He believes the earth is millions of years old, and he has ways of describing and explaining why, Genesis 1 is correct, is 100% correct, but yet the earth is millions of years old, and he has his way of explaining it, and that's fine. Incredibly intelligent. He's one of these guys that gets up and debates people, and incredibly intelligent guy. And his books, I have that book, Reasonable Faith. Yeah, I have the book, Reasonable Faith. That was my apologetics textbook. And he could be a tough read. He can be, and he gets a little esoteric. He gets very like one of his answers to, well, what about the people who never heard the gospel? What about the Zulu tribes that never heard the gospel? And he goes to the point of saying, well, God knows enough to put the souls that would have rejected him in the place where they'll never get a chance to hear him. And I'm like, okay. I mean, that's tough for me to wrap my brain around, but okay, that's his thing. But very smart guy, but yeah, that book, Reasonable Faith, is great, but it's one of those things you have to go, I got to read that again. He's very, very intelligent and very Just thinking on a very different plane. So, but William Lane Craig, he's sort of like a Norm Geisler. Norm Geisler is sort of the everyman's William Lane Craig. William Lane Craig is definitely for those that want to really take a head trip and think way beyond. Norm Geisler is a little bit more like a little bit more down to earth, but he's almost like a Chuck Missler, you know, little mystical, little, kind of going places where you're like, wow, I never thought to go there before. Nothing weird, nothing evil. When I say mystical, I don't mean like demonic mystical. I just mean like thinking of things that you never would have thought of, So, but yeah, William Lane Craig is a great resource. Lewis Sperry Schaefer also they put together an abbreviated one, which somebody might have, Major Bible Themes. Is that it there? Yeah, okay. Basic Theology, I think there's a black one, Basic Theology by Charles Ryrie. That's another one. Know What You Believe, which is the book that we use for our basic theology class. That's the peanut butter on the bottom shelf, that one. And that's a great one. Another really good one, I think it was over there, all the doctrines of the Bible. It's a little paperback. I had it. Oh, you have it there. Okay. This is an excellent one because it's somewhere in between. And this is Herbert Lockyer. Herbert Lockyer wrote what I call all the series. All the women in the Bible, all the men in the Bible, all the miracles in the Bible, all the parables in the Bible, all the whatever you can think of in the Bible. Something came flying out. No. Lockyer. It's called All the Doctrines in the Bible. And the basic template that we use is what's called the 10 Cardinal Doctrines. Okay? We have theology proper, doctrine of God, Christology, pneumatology, bibliology, study of the Bible, soteriology, angelology, ecclesiology, eschatology, hamartiology, which is the study of sin, and anthropology, which is the study of man. Those are the 10 cardinal doctrines. Based on that, he breaks them down a little bit. So he will say the doctrine of divine revelation. Well, that has to do with bibliology, right? Where the Bible came from. He has the doctrine of God, doctrine of Christ, our Holy Spirit, the Trinity, angels, Satans, and demons, angelology and Satan and demons, they're all together. It's all part of angelology. But he puts in like for soteriology, he also throws in grace, repentance, generation, substitution, redemption, reconciliation, all these different categories within it. But it's an easy read, and it's just a paperback book that's not that. This is something you can sit down and read a section at a time, and it's not that big a deal. So this is a really good book.
Couple of days, you got it.
Yeah. Here you go. Paul Little, though, that's one that, and we've got a bunch of those in the bookstore too. It's called Know What You Believe by Paul Little. And that, couple of sittings, and you can read through that book. Just a little paperback book. And it's a great sort of introduction to theology, what you believe and why you should believe it. All right, Paul, why don't you come on up? Let's see if we can make this work, because this is not going to work for me. I don't know why.
Are these all part of your personal library?
Everything here is part of my personal. There's a few things specifically that are not part of my library, just because I knew we had them in the bookstore.
Right.
So like the Bible Knowledge Commentary, I have one But that one's not mine. That one's the Strong's Concordance. If I don't have to carry my Strong's Concordance, I'd rather not. So I knew she had one here, so I brought it over. Actually,
Well, with this age group, how many of these books do you think we're going to live long enough?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm throwing it all out there, you know.
What do you think we're gonna do when we get on that side?
That's right. Keep learning. All right, why don't you come on up here? Let's see if we can get this up and running. And hang on, let me just, here, go ahead. All right, a couple of extra things while we see if we can get this up and running. And with this remote, go to HDMI 2. Please. Oh, yeah. All right, we'll get to that in a second. Perfect. All right, you got your eSword already up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go to your browser and navigate to Blue Letter Bible.
Okay.
Okay? All right, we're going to get the software in a minute. Evidence that demands a verdict. Who's got that? It's out here somewhere. Who's got that? Evidence that demands a verdict. I know it's here, I brought it. It's a hardcover, it's a pretty thick guy. No? Oh, it's right there. Yep, that gold guy, here, you can hand it to me. Yeah. The original was Evidence That Demands a Verdict. Then he came out with a second one called More Evidence That Demands a Verdict. They put the two together and called it The New Evidence That Demands a Verdict. And now it's just called Evidence That Demands a Verdict, which has everything in it. This is Josh McDowell. Josh McDowell was, before Lee Strobel came along, was Josh McDowell. He was a college student who was going to set out to prove the Bible wrong, and the Bible proved him wrong. And this is pretty dry reading, okay? It's fascinating in one hand, but it's very dry reading because it's all his notes. He has jotted down all the research that he has done. And like that chart that I put up about the Bible and the number of extant copies and the years between the original writings and the copies that we have today and that kind of stuff, and comparing it to Homer and some of the other things of antiquity, that's from this book. That's from Josh McDowell. He did that research. He studied all the works of antiquity, studied the number of copies that they had and the years between the original and the current ones we have, and he compared it to the Bible. And this is like apologetics. This is great sort of confidence in your faith building. That we serve a reasonable God. We serve an intelligent God. And when you start peeling back the layers on the surface, people will, and that's why my next class that I do might be apologetics. You know, people say things like, you know, if there's a God, why is there suffering in the world? You know, and that sounds so, caring and deep, but it's actually kind of a dumb question. And it's a question that works against itself. But
Okay. Have you heard of Elisa Childers? She's a current apologist.
Okay.
Person.
I've heard the name.
She started coming out with a lot of stuff because of the, what was it? The new, I can't remember. What?
New Age?
Not New Age. She was countering.
The emergent church?
Emergent.
Okay, yeah.
That was it. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And she just created a office within the last 2 years called Another Gospel. That's excellent.
Okay, that's cool. But yeah, Josh McDowell and then Lee Strobel came out with Case for Christ and all that.
One did a movie too?
This one did not get a movie. There is a book that the section of this book that is about Christ was made into a paperback called More Than a Carpenter. Yeah, and that's what it's meant to be bought by the case. It's called More Than a Carpenter.
Out of that.
It's they took the excerpts, the section of this, because he does a section on the existence of God, he does a section on the Bible, he does a section on, and one of his sections is on Jesus Christ. And the section on Jesus Christ was sort of an excerpt that was taken out and turned into a paperback that's called More Than a Carpenter. It's the exact same, it's the exact same verbiage from that book, but it's just taken out on its own. And it's an explanation of who Jesus is and who he said he was and proof about who he is. And it is meant to be, like Sally said, it's meant to be passed out. You know, when you buy it, you tend to buy it by the case. Because once you read it, you go, I got to give this to anybody who, because it's a little paperback, it's easy to read, and it's really intriguing, it's really engaging. We've talked about life and times of Jesus the Messiah. Okay, one last book before we get to the software, which I should have 2 copies in here, an old copy and a new copy. This is the old copy. This is my old Dinosaur. Haley's Bible Handbook. If there's one book that if you say, look, I'm only going to get one book. I have my Bible, you know, whatever. I'm only going to get one book. Make it this book. You know, I suggest getting whatever you can get. But if you're going to limit yourself to one book, get this one. Okay? Haley's Bible Handbook. Spelled just like the comet. Halleys. Haley's Bible Handbook. And what it is it's sort of like an extensive outline of the Bible. And a summary, so you can go through the Bible, you know. So we're in Genesis here, chapters 18 and 19, Sodom and Gomorrah, and then there's just some information, and it's just a quick summary of what happened, you know, and a breakdown, location of Sodom and Gomorrah, the Dead Sea, archaeological notes. It's just a lot of information. Some of it moves pretty quick. Some of it stops and camps out for a while and does a little bit of digging, gives you some information, gives you some geography and things like that. But it just takes you through the Bible and gives you some information about each of these sections in the Bible. So this is, and it does come in a bigger version. It does come in a taller version. I don't know why they made it such a little thing, but
This one is?
no, that's a more modern one, but that one's about the size of this one. It's actually a little thicker, I think. But it looks like that, but it's just bigger. And I think they just made they made it fill in so it's not so thick. I don't know why. I guess because they call it a handbook, so they made it small so it fits in your hand, so you can take it anywhere. But it's like this size, but not as thick, you know. But that's available. Okay, so. Okay, I may have you do this.
Oh,
Well, because this is your
I can talk about it.
your thing is on a Mac, and the Mac version of it is a little different. But this is eSword, okay, and you have your Bible, okay, right?
Yeah, Bible's up.
Right. This is your Bible. Let me get the.
Shrink it down a little bit, Paul, because we're missing the left-hand side.
Oh, just a little bit. Yeah. Well, it's not. It's just because it's falling. Oh, it's the projector.
There's nothing
But
on
there's-
this side here, you're not missing anything. Well,
There's not much. There's a little
you're not missing
bit.
anything there.
You can see a little bit there, but that's more the projector than it is his thing. Okay. So you've got your Bible. You have this is your dictionaries, right?
As far as the dictionaries, this is where you say you can go in and you can see.
You go-
John
see-
Wesley, You can go in and see.
No, so this is commentaries. Now, in eSword, they use the word commentary in a generic sense. It's just a section because they have, in eSword, they have the Bible, dictionary, commentaries, and then what's called the editor. I don't use the editor. The editor is where you can do your own stuff, you know. And so you basically have, this is your dictionary section.
Right. Yeah, yep.
I don't know what this section is.
That's the Greek word, That's your Greek words. This is gonna be word studies.
Okay, so you're just, okay.
Strong's.
Yeah, yours is just a little different than mine.
Yeah.
So you get your Bible here. Do you have the King James Plus? Go to the King James Plus, because this is the cool thing. You go to King James Plus, and there are your Strong's numbers that are attached. Okay, now, I don't know if yours does what mine does. If you hover over it,
Well, if I click it,
you click it. You just give it a little click, and it'll, there. No, this is eSword.
How do you spell these?
E-Sword.
E-sword, that's what you said.
S-W-O-R-D, sword. I know last time people were thinking I was saying source. Sword, as in the Bible, the sword. So this gives you the Strong's definition. Oh, it gives you Thayer's too. So a quick little thing.
and it goes down.
But then it also, if you click on it in a different way, it'll bring it up over here in your dictionaries, right?
So, let me, I'll click on there. And it went over here.
Yeah. And so you can click on a word and then it'll show up in your dictionaries over here. And so that it can be, you sort of can link it, okay?
And what's nice is if you're keeping it there, you go back here, you click this on, and I can go back into this section here and go under word study and look at what word study has to say.
And-
Wow, there is still up.
And word study, Thayer is another lexicon, is another Greek scholar. Word study, that is the Zodiades, the complete, sorry, Martha, this guy over here, sorry. That's what that is. And what are some of the other, can you do a pull down list here just to see what other ones there are? So you have Strong's, King James. That one's like a concordance.
Yeah, King James is gonna
If you
show
click
you
on that,
all
it'll
the
show you,
verses.
right, it'll show you believe, and it'll show you all the verses where that word appears. So it's like a concordance. And
Then you got Strong's there and word study.
yeah. And now you go up to this one, go up to here where you have this is the commentary section where, and that's where you have Jameson Fawcett Brown, you have Barnes, Bible Knowledge, David Gusick, Matthew Henry, right? Chuck Smith commentary, Vincent's word studies. You also have you can get the Robertson's word studies in there, Schofield, Treasury of David, which is by Spurgeon, which is the Psalms. It's a commentary on the Psalms by Charles Spurgeon, is the Treasury of David.
And the ones that are highlighted are Old Testament. Like Schofield I only have the Old Testament. That's why it's not lit up like the other ones highlighted.
Oh, really? Okay. I wasn't sure why that was.
Yeah.
Let me steal my water here.
Is this a free app?
This is a free app. Some of the resources you pay for, like he paid for word studies, that's an extra one. I think you must have paid for Weast.
I did.
Yeah.
I should have waited, I just say $3.99.
Well,
$3.95.
well, on your phone, it's like $1.99 or something like that. Or maybe with inflation, now it's $3.99.
See, like,
On your phone, you can get eSword on a Android phone. I think for $1.99 or $2 or whatever. I think you can get it free on an iPhone. And then no, is it
It's $3.99.
is it $3.99 on an iPhone? Is that what you have? Okay. On a computer, it's free. The application is free, and then you just go in and you see like he went to download, and he can pick the ones these are all the ones he has installed, and then he can pick other ones if you want to install it.
the ones that are locked.
And then you can go to, the ones that are locked are ones you have to pay for. You see?
So if you go to your computer and just look up eSword,
You look up eSword, e-sword.net. Now, this is a local software, so it means you have to install it on your computer. It's pretty simple. It just takes you through the steps and you install it on your computer, and then you can put all these things in. The thing I like about it is it has all these so many of these resources we've been talking about in a click, and Alfred Edersheim is in here too. Do you have that? It's usually in the other stuff.
That would be
That's sort of the other section.
reference books.
Yeah. In reference books, you can get, the Antiquities of the Jews. When Pastor Bill talks about Josephus, Josephus was a first century historian. And the Antiquities of the Jews is Flavius Josephus. And there's all kinds of extra stuff in here. Study materials. Some of it's devotional stuff. Some of it, you get Tozier in there, Myers, different things. There's Life and Times of Jesus the Messiah, Alfred Edersheim. And most of these are free. Some of them you can get at premium and you can pay for, and you can get them. But this is a really good resource. So it's available now on all platforms. If you have a Mac or a PC or an Android or an iPhone or iPad, you can get it. E-Sword.
In the App Store, it's charging $3.99.
Okay, so $3.99 on your iPhone. I think it's $1.99 on the on Google Play. If you have an Android on your computer, it's free.
It's $9.99.
For what?
Because it's a Mac. Because it's a Mac.
Oh, a Mac was $9.99? Oh, gee.
One time,
Oh.
but yeah, Mac is.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I don't have a Mac, so I know you loaded it. So it's $10 to put it on your PC. It's free, and $1.99 on Android.
But anything you buy, you can put on all of your stuff
What's that?
included. Like if I buy, let's say, if I buy like which I did, this one right here, the Weist word studies.
Yeah.
I can put that on my phone, my iPad, anything that I've got these.
Oh, right. Yeah.
One-time purchase.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Does it matter if it's upper or lowercase when you put it in your computer?
No.
Okay.
No. e-sword.net. That'll get you there, and you can load in the software. And it is local, so it's whatever computer you put it on, that's what it's on. You can put it on another computer if you have another computer. There is a way to make sure you can, across computers, you can do the same thing that he was just talking about. Like if I bought the New King James Bible, and I bought the Word Study. I think those are the only two that I bought. There's one other thing that I bought. So I can, if once I go on my computer, I can, if I keep my code that I got, I can put that in and it'll unlock it for me on any computer that I have. I haven't tried it across to a mobile platform yet, so I don't know if that works. But it'll work on iOS products. Okay, so now can you go to Blue Letter Bible?
I just looked this up after,
Mm-hmm.
and if I went in on the website that you said, esword.net, and I'm pulling up a Mac App Store, no, it's $9.99.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Mac app. Yeah.
Mac it charges. Not
No.
a Mac. I was told they figure if you got a Mac, you can afford to buy it.
What did I do? Yeah.
That's what I've
Only
heard.
one book
What did I do?
stood the test of
I
time.
don't know.
Only one book has brought people from death.
There we go.
I'm in YouTube somehow now. I don't
Oh,
know
yeah,
what
you did, didn't you?
I don't know how I got the YouTube.
I have no idea either. There we go. Let's go over here.
Okay. All right. Because this at least, see, Macs make me nervous. But this at least, this is just a website. This you can get on your phone. I imagine you can get it on your iPhone. And I know you can get it on an Android, and it's an app. But this is a website. So on your computer, you just go to blueletterbible.org. All one big long word, blueletterbible.org. And you can, probably the easiest way to do it, if I can remember how to do this, if you go into search, and then you can go to, is it advanced options?
We're just trying to find verses.
Well, I'm just trying to browse to somewhere in the Bible, because usually you have to type in oh, come on. No, that wasn't it.
Okay, if you go to see where it says quick navigation.
Yeah, where does it say quick now? That's what I was looking for.
Where's it at? Right there.
Oh, quick! Oh, yeah, that was small. This is what I was looking for. So you can go to quick navigation, and then you can let's just say you want to look up John 3:16. We can go to John. Come on.
I don't know why it's doing that.
because it's a Mac and it doesn't like me.
There it goes. There you go.
Okay.
3. There you go.
3.
There you go.
Okay, and then you scroll down, you pick a verse. But the thing about this is what's once you get to sort of where you want to get to, and you can just type. You can also just type John 3:16. And it'll take you there. All right, so I can go to John 3:16, right? And if I click on it,
You go to the tools.
usually if I just click on it, where's the tools? Okay, tools.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I usually use the app.
Yeah.
In the app, you just click on the verse. So here's the tools, right? And now here is the whole verse in the Greek, right? And it gives you the strong numbers here. So I can go to love, right? And I click on that, and that'll take me to agapao, right? And then
You can also, what I really like about that is you can listen to it.
right, you can, if I go back here, I can,
Strong's G 1063. Gar.
it helps you pronounce what the word is. And then up here, so now this is the interlinear, and you can see it in different translations of the Bible, and then you can go to commentaries, and you get dictionaries, like just kind of like eSword, same kind of thing. You can go to commentaries, and there's the Chuck Smith commentary, Harmony of the Gospels. These are all different ones here. I'm trying to see where. Okay, there you go. There's some Chuck Missler stuff. These are different commentators you can look up. Study tools. I'm trying to see where David Gusick is.
Oh, he's probably in that. Keep going down. He's there. There he is.
Oh, David. Okay, there's David Gusick. Okay, this is a favorite of Calvary Chapel. I think somebody in Calvary Chapel probably created the Blue Letter Bible because there's a lot of Calvary Chapel, like this Chuck Missler's in there, and David Gusick and Damien Codd. There's all kinds of Calvary Chapel guys in here, and you can see there's Matthew Henry. My preference is eSword, partially because I've had it for so long, I've gotten used to it, and I just like the way that eSword is just laid out. Particularly in the PC version, I've got my Bible, my dictionary, my commentary, and my editor's notes, and that's it. And I can sort of navigate. And so when I go to, if I go to John 3:16, well, then all my commentaries are going to go to John 3:16 too. So I don't have to go look at my commentary and then look up the verse. It knows where I am over here, and I just look up and so it sort of is linked in that way. And it's just, to me, it's a little easier to navigate. Blue Letter Bible has some great resources, and I use it on my phone all the time because it's quick. I go to my Blue Letter Bible app, and I can pull up, my Greek, my Hebrew, whatever, and it's a great resource.
It's free on the phone too.
Yes, it is free on the phone. It's free on your computer too, because it's just a website. Now, if the lexicon and the interlinear, and that's kind of your cup of tea, you want to take things to the next level, well, there's a thing called Logos. And it's a software, and it has I think 4 different levels, the scholar level, the pastor's level, the teacher level, the student level, something like that. And the resources available, it's expensive. I mean, it's like $1,000 or something like that, depending on the level that you buy. The resources seem inexhaustible. I mean, they are just vast, the number of resources you can look up in it. The only thing I don't like about it is it's sort of, the one thing I like about eSword is eSword's locked in. Bible, dictionary, commentary, editor's notes. That's it. Everything sort of, with Logos, you can have any number of commentaries and or dictionaries and or any other kind of reference all up on the same page. And you can move them around and put this one here, and they link. So if you change your verse, they all change with it. It's all linked together. But you can have 25 different windows open on your page from 25 different resources, all having to do with that passage. And it's a fantastic piece of software. I've just never pulled the trigger to get it. I've always been happy with what I have, and never. I had a friend who had it, and he was always on it, and he loved it, and he knew he could zip through it. It just always looked confusing to me. But the resources on it are phenomenal. If you want to go that route, there's a lot of information in there. And like I said, the great thing about the software is that it puts all this information at our fingertips. Sometimes I like turning a page, but sometimes I like the information fast, and I like to be able to look it up quick, without having to look here, and and sometimes when I'm studying, particularly if it's resources that aren't on my eSword or Blue Letter Bible, I will have 4 or 5 of these books open on my desk, and going here and going here and going here, and and that's if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. But if you can save yourself, that's why I use eSword and Blue Letter Bible, because some of this I can just look up there in a second and get the information, and particularly the stuff like the Greek and the Hebrew, the original language. That's why I have Blue Letter Bible. Now I may get eSword now on my phone. Now that it's available on Android, I have Blue Letter Bible on because I can look it up real quick. I just hit my Blue Letter Bible, and I do a quick nav, go to the verse that I want, and I have all my Greek and Hebrew and all that kind of stuff right at my fingertips. So, we're at an age now where this stuff is getting even more and more advanced, and it is for the glory of God that we're able to be able to find out more and more about the scriptures, and the tools are great. The tools are fantastic, but they're just that. They're tools. The rules of hermeneutics still apply, and we take just like we started with, right? Context. We look at the context, original language, right? And we start diving deeper into the meaning, and then looking into, what is the Holy Spirit telling me, right? Becoming familiar with the verse, familiar with the surrounding, understanding the setting, the tone, the author, everything, all that stuff. What the actual words say, what they mean, and then what they mean to us, hearing from the Holy Spirit. Then looking into, commentaries and some other people's opinions is great to either confirm, or maybe you say, oh, I thought it was saying that. And look, it's some of this stuff we don't know exactly what is meant. There are some, even Peter said, some of the stuff that Paul wrote is hard to understand, right? So some things are like, he could be saying this and he could be saying that. It's never anything so drastically different that it's contradictory. And again, we always translate a difficult passage in light of a more understandable passage. A passage that we know, that we understand, that is confirmed. That's the basis under which we translate a passage that's a little more difficult. So those are some resources, just to show you what's out there, the types of resources that are out there, and you can look it up. Amazon has a bunch of stuff. The Christian Book is a great resource, even if you're not going to buy it from them. It's great for searching things out, because you can look up it'll have in there Bibles, commentaries, dictionaries, things like that, devotionals, whatever. You can look up a particular category and find books that that fit that category, and maybe look at some different things that you might want to venture into. So, any questions? Yes, sir.
Well, I, for one, and I'm pretty sure I speak for most everybody, if not everybody here, really appreciate you teaching this class to us. And
Thank you.
in my opinion, and I have a bachelor's degree, and I'm telling you, this could be a college level course. And for me, it would take a year.
Yeah. Well, it is. Hermeneutics is normally, and that's always my challenge with these classes. Normally, a hermeneutics is at least a 15 class, course, so a full semester, like 15. I know when I took actually I've taken it twice, and both times it was a full semester. Theology, basic theology that I teach, systematic theology was a 2-semester course, so 30 classes to go through systematic theology, and I try to reduce it down into 8. Actually, I think basic theology I can't get down to 8, so I have it at 9. It's the one course I do that's 9. That's 9 weeks. I can't trim it down anymore. But that's why we do it. That's why I want to be able to do it, to be able to offer some, just that next level, a little bit of a taste of a college level, Bible college kind of class, to again, just to, in an introductory fashion, to just whet your appetite, and hopefully you can, even take it to the next level. So thank you.
It's been fantastic.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Are you going to post our grades?
Everybody got an A.
Oh, good.
All right, let's pray.